Today, we are going to be talking about NFL Hall of Fame wide receiver Randy Moss. Born in Rand, West Virginia, he attended Dew Point High School in Bell, West Virginia, where he excelled in basketball and football. He led his team to a state championship in 1993, and in 1994, Randy Moss won the Kennedy Award for the best West Virginia football player of the year. Randy Moss then was a redshirt freshman at Florida State while serving his 30-day sentence in a work release program from 1995. Moss tested positive for marijuana, thus violating his probation, and was dismissed from Florida State. He served an additional 60 days in jail for his probation violation. Ultimately, Moss transferred to Marshall University. In 1996, Marshall's final season competing at the NCAA Division I AA level, Randy Moss caught a touchdown in all 15 games as Marshall went undefeated, going 15-0 and winning the Division I AA championship versus Montana. In 1997, Marshall was now in NCAA Division 1A football. They were now in the Mid-America Conference, aka MAC, with second-year head coach Bob Pruitt. Moss in his junior season was incredible. He scored 26 receiving touchdowns. That was, at the time, a Division 1A record. Moss was a 1997 first-team All-American. He was the MAC Offensive Player of the Year and won the Fred Biletnikoff Award. As for his team's success, they were led by future NFL quarterback Chad Pennington. The team went 10-3, winning the MAC championship game versus Toledo, but ended up losing the Motor City Bowl versus Ole Miss. After the season, Moss finished fourth in the Heisman Trophy voting, behind Ryan Leaf, Peyton Manning, and Charles Woodson, who won the award. For 1998, Moss would skip his senior season and enter the 1998 NFL Draft. He did not attend the Combine and instead opted for an individual workout at Marshall's Pro Day. The 6'4" wide receiver Randy Moss was selected 21st overall by the Minnesota Vikings, with head coach Dennis Green. So how will the 1998 Vikings look? How good will they be? How about being a top 10 NFL offense of all time? They were amazing. Let's talk about 3 great Randy Moss performances. Then I will talk about his teammates. Week 5 at the Packers, he had his first 100-yard game. He had 5 receptions for 190 receiving yards and 2 receiving touchdowns in a 37-24 win. Moss's next monster performance would come Week 12, also against the Packers. This time at home, Moss had 8 receptions for 153 receiving yards and 1 touchdown in a 28-14 win. Moss would have one more monster performance of the regular season, and it came the very next week against Week 13 against the Dallas Cowboys on Thanksgiving Day. Moss had an incredible stat line for 3 catches, 163 yards, and 3 touchdowns. So every catch was a touchdown, which is crazy because he even did it in 3 quarters. the Vikings got the big win, 46-36. The 98 Vikings finished the regular season 15-1, becoming, at the time, only the third team in NFL history to accomplish that record. Randy Moss's rookie stats look like this. He had 69 receptions, 1,313 receiving yards, and still to this day, an NFL rookie record with 17 receiving touchdowns in the regular season. Moss made the Pro Bowl, was first team All-Pro, and won Offensive Rookie of the Year. But Moss did not do it alone. Let me talk about some of his teammates that season that helped with the success of the team. Starting with this quarterback, Randall Cunningham, who had a Pro Bowl season throwing for over 3,500 yards, 34 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions. Next, the Pro Bowl running back, Robert Smith, who rushed for 1,187 yards and 6 touchdowns. Next, the future Hall of Fame wide receiver besides Randy Moss on the team, Randy Moss's good friend Cris Carter, who had 78 receptions, 1,011 yards, and 12 receiving touchdowns. I also have to mention the future, or the Hall of Fame defensive tackle John Randall, who had 10.5 sacks. Now it's playoff time for their first opponent, the Arizona Cardinals, in the divisional round. The Vikings took care of business in the divisional round. Randy Moss scored a touchdown, and they stumped the Cardinals, winning 41-21. With the divisional win, they moved on to the NFC Championship game, facing possibly their toughest challenge yet in the 14-2 Atlanta Falcons, coming off a big win versus the San Francisco 49ers in the divisional round. This NFC Championship game was a classic. Randy Moss scored a touchdown. The Vikings had a 27-20 lead with 2:18 left in the fourth quarter. The Vikings lined up for a 38-yard field goal to increase the lead to 10 points. Gary Anderson, the kicker of the Vikings, who had not missed all season, missed the kick. The Falcons now had the ball. They went down the field and scored a touchdown with the pass from Chris Chandler to Terrence Mathis with 57 seconds left on the clock. The game went into overtime. The Vikings had the ball, but had to punt. Giving the Falcons the ball, they got into field goal range for Morton Anderson, no relation to Gary Anderson, and he made the field goal to send the Atlanta Falcons to the Super Bowl. The Falcons were now the NFC champions of 1998. They went on to lose the Super Bowl to the Denver Broncos with John Elway. But still, it was a disappointing end for the Minnesota Vikings, who were a favorite to go to the Super Bowl. But this team will always be remembered by Vikings fans and just in general as one of the best teams to not make it to the Super Bowl. The 1998 Minnesota Vikings had a total of 10 Pro Bowlers and 5 All-Pros. Here's the list of them from Wikipedia. This is basically it for my video. This is a video on Randy Moss covering his high school, college, and first NFL season, but Randy Moss would have many great Pro Bowl seasons in the NFL. He eventually made it into the Hall of Fame in 2018. If you want to watch his rookie highlights, they're on YouTube, and his career highlights are also on YouTube, both published by the NFL on YouTube. Thank you guys for watching my video. I appreciate it. It was hard to make, but I had fun doing it. Peace.